pre-saving some questions from chat.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear us? Hello and greetings.
We hear you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for tuning in again for another exciting developer stream for Conan Exiles. My name's Andy Bendit.
I'm Nicole.
We're community managers.
What's up?
And we will be joined today by environment artist Bruno and lead designer Dennis Douthett, talking all things version 2.4 coming very soon. In fact, tomorrow, I believe, on PC.
Yeah.
It's on test live right now. So yeah, we'll be going over all the things that will be that. So like the three new regions to the south of the Isle of Siptah, lighting revamp, new enemies, new items, new mechanics, whole slew of things.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Should be exciting. So first of all, let's see. So first of all, we wanted to introduce for the first time on camera, Bruno.
He is Portuguese. Someone guessed right, too.
Hey! So Bruno, are you with us?
Hi.
Hey!
There he is.
What's up? We're switching over now. There you go.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Say
Welcome.
hi, say
everyone.
hi to the world, Bruno.
Hello, chat.
Welcome to the stream. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today and talk to everyone out there. Before we kind of jump into things, do you have a few minutes to just like introduce yourself, talk about what you do, maybe a little bit of your background and all that?
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Okay, yes. So I'm Bruno. I work for Funcom as an environment artist. I have done some. I've been working as an artist for games for a while now. I did some work as freelance before Funcom, but I've been working from Funcom from the Lisbon studio for almost 4 years now.
Nice.
Yeah, I started out as a 3D modeler, doing props, weapons, building sets, saddles, all that kind of stuff. Real fun stuff to do, actually. And recently, I joined the environment art team, where we do more work in the actual gameplay field. So as environment artists, we use assets created by the 3D art team to create like natural places, ruins, NPC camps, all that nice stuff that you can explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, like making the game world like feel that much more immersive and believable.
Yep.
And all that. Yeah. And like a little bit of a, we love to use environmental storytelling in Conan Exiles. The new lands in Isle of Dusk certainly know we're not going to be skimping out on that either. And so going into that, also, can you talk a little bit about just like what your involvement was with version 2.4 and any of the new lands that we're including, or anything else we're going to be showing off today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in 2.4, we worked on the landmass expansion for Siptah. We worked on 3 new areas, 2 big areas and an intermediate area between them. These are the Isle of Dawn, the Isle of Dusk, and the Floodlands, which we'll have some footage later.
Yeah, we will in just a minute.
And I worked mostly in the Isle of Dawn, but we all worked a little bit everywhere as required.
For sure, yeah. Like you work, so like you work primarily on, like you yourself worked primarily on Isle of Dawn, but like of course,
yeah,
you know, that's not the only thing you did. Like you helped with all 3 like areas of the Siptah's new lands. And then, did you have a hand in the lighting revamp, or can you can at least like shed some light about?
Yeah.
Sorry, pun not intended.
Yeah, lighting revamp. I think lighting revamp was mostly code and design, but we did do some because of it. We did do some lighting in the world. So I think the nights are much darker now as they were initially in Conan. So we had to light the camps to reflect that. Otherwise, it would be too dark. But yeah, this that's on screen. It's mostly tech arts.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So what we're showing right now on stream is new to 2.4 is a pretty major like lighting revamp for all of Isle of Siptah. The main goal was to just like overall increase the vibrancy and the realism and the dynamism of the lighting in all zones. Make the lights lighter, make the darks much darker. If you haven't hopped on Test Live or had a chance to see it, I can confirm that the nights are extremely dark.
I remember.
There was actually a moment just yesterday when I was trying to do some like last minute video capture stuff, and I had alt tabbed, and it became nighttime at some point, and I was like, "Why do I have a black screen?" No, I was just looking at the ground. Yeah, I was looking at the ground. I had no lighting because I had no base, no torch or anything like that. I was like, "Oh my god!"
But also like it looks almost like a fairy tale-ish with some of these after photos, like with the lighting hitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Just right.
Yeah.
So this is all something that you can look forward to in 2.4. This applies specifically to the Isle of Siptah, so the exiled lands will because
this one in particular.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah, like that after.
Like,
yeah.
oh.
So because this is specifically for the map, if I'm understanding it correctly, this only applies to the Isle of Siptah. Mostly because like we've been working on that a lot, and we want to make sure that it is in tip-top shape before the official release later this year. That's that. And then moving on, we're gonna move on to a visual aid for the Isle of Dawn, which I think you can speak more at length about.
Yeah.
Right.
Take it away. So this is the Isle of Dawn. It's where I spent most of my time. We created a lot of camps on this island. It's a very large place. There are a lot of temples that we did for the new gray ones. They're the new faction in the Isle of Dawn. And we have the Citadel of the Grey Ones, which is a pretty large place where you'll get to do some neat stuff with summonings. But yeah, in the Citadel of the Grey Ones, it's a very big place. It's an important landmass in the Isle of Dawn. It's a very cool place to explore. To be honest, it looks very nice during the day, but with the new lighting, it looks awesome at night with the torch lights and stuff. It looks very nice. Like as environment artists, our work consists a lot of building these kinds of gameplay areas, and we do a lot of prototyping. We can do we do blockouts first, and with help from concept art and designers, we try to get a good product in the end that looks nice and it's fun to explore.
Yeah, and then so like for Isle of Dawn, like we'll show the Isle of Dusk in a bit, which is a stark difference from this. But so Isle of Dawn, my understanding is that the like one of the goals of Isle of Dawn specifically was to have some visual like language that shares a lot of DNA with the exiled land specifically. Yeah. Can you go? And maybe Dennis can later can also provide some insight, or if he wants to jump in and say hi now because I know he's on. Is there? Is that I'm guessing that's like a very deliberate decision to kind of make people who are coming from exiled lands feel a little bit more familiar. Like, oh, I remember these areas. Like, oh yes, sand and brown stones. Yes.
Yeah.
I know this well.
That was the point exactly. I also missed the exile lands while playing on Siptah, actually. So it was really nice to work on this area that replicates a bit the exile lands, and I think we succeeded. It feels very nice. It has that cozy feeling from the exile lands.
Cozy.
As cozy as you can get in a game that's as brutal as this is, right?
Yeah,
And then,
that's true,
yeah,
but yeah, Conan
right.
is very cozy outside.
It's extremely cozy. Yeah, we're just all like warm and
That's the word,
snuggles, and
yeah.
yeah, it's great. We're all friends in this.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so you mentioned it a little bit earlier. So like one of the new enemy factions is called the Grey Ones.
Mhm.
And then there's also, I believe, Stygian mercenaries dotted throughout throughout the Isle of Dawn area specifically. So a lot of the temple areas, as you can see in the visual aids, and we'll show off some of the new enemies in a little bit later. But they will be a lot of the Grey Ones occupy the like the temple ruins, as you can see here, and later we'll also show the proper like citadel containing the pools of the Grey Ones, which involves the summons that Bruno mentioned. And we'll also get you guys a closer look at what the Grey Ones actually look like if you haven't had a chance to hop on Test Live. They look really cool. They're humanoid, but they're actually a race taken from the depths of Conan lore, and so we hope that lore purists will be happy with translation into the Unreal Engine. So that's the Isle of Dawn. Next up, actually, is the other major region of the 2.4 new lands called the Isle of Dusk.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, or as you will see, compared to the Isle of Dawn, and perhaps true to its name, it's a lot darker.
Yes. I like this one better, to be honest.
I mean, it looks awesome. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's super dramatic. Get a very Souls-like kind of vibe going
Sure.
on.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully not forbidden language on a stream, but you can see here, you can see like a super stark difference between the kind of like the theme and especially the lighting from Isle of Dawn into the Isle of Dusk. Bruno, are you able to like offer any insight into like the design and the goals of the Isle of Dusk and what went into that?
Yes, so the Isle of Dusk, it's as you said, it's supposed to be a stark contrast to the other side, the Isle of Dawn, and it's a very dark place. It has the other faction.
Mm-hmm. I believe called the First Men, I believe is the official
First
name.
Men.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these are these places here are supposedly the remnants of the civilization of the First Men. That's who you'll be fighting most of the time in this area.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly it.
And then there's also some like really cool like abandoned citadels as we're seeing now, inhabited by a number of like various undead beasties.
The Shattered Citadel.
Oh,
yeah, this is super cool.
I love the comparison, like when you have like the light and the orangey.
One
place, and then you have the blue tones here.
Yeah, I'm a super sucker for that contrast between like the orange and like the teals and blues and stuff like that. So I think I really like that we go with those like kind of warmer yellows and oranges in some of the regions, and then we move into like the really eerie kind of teal theme, like when you actually get to the citadels. It certainly like pushes like a very like haunted demeanor, which I think was the goal, and I think we're really successful for it.
And sorry, I keep looking over here because I've got chat over this direction. But some of the people are loving this. Like I'm reading some of the comments, and people embrace the darkness.
Yeah. And for a frame of reference, like these videos were taken technically at noontime in game. So this is like pretty much the brightest it actually gets within Isle of Dusk. So
it's great.
Very appropriately
moody.
named. Yeah. And I did eye a couple people. Perhaps we talked about it in Test Live or in the Test Live notes. Internally, like in terms of development, we did call this region the Ashlands, which is also aptly named, and the Isle of Dusk was called the Savannah. But the official names and the names that we'll be using moving forward are Isle of Dawn and Isle of Dusk, respectively. So just so you guys know, in case you saw something in chat, if you ever see the word Ashlands or whatever, that's Isle of Dusk. Savannah's Isle of Dawn. So that is a quick overview of the Isle of Dusk. Again, we'll be showing off a couple of the new enemies in a little bit, probably when we start talking with Dennis. But certainly last and not least, talking about the new environments, let's talk a little bit about the Floodlands, the kind of intermediate zone that bridges between the Isle of Dawn and Isle of Dusk. Switch to that really quick. Boop. So you can see here, or you will see in a minute, this also has like a very familiar feel, I think, for a lot of folks coming in from the Exiled Lands. Like the bright sand dunes mixed with like the redstone spires. Can you give any insight into the design and goals of the Floodlands, Bruno?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Floodlands is also a very cozy place.
It's so
it should be
familiar
the
and warm.
coziest.
Yeah.
It should be the coziest place because the design of it is actually it is the place where it has more what do you call it? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Real estate, free real estate
Free
for
real
players
estate.
to build
Real estate.
good-looking bases like we have here in very nice space. It's full of tall cliff formations, so you can build your bases on top of them and have them well protected. And it's another area like the Exiled Lands where it's lush and overgrown plains, and the primary enemies on this area is animals, wildlife mostly. So.
Yeah, a lot of lizards, a lot of shalebacks, a couple dragons. There are a couple humanoid NPCs here too.
Yeah.
Behind this flag, for example, is a little camp of people around a campfire. But the main highlight, is my understanding of the Floodlands, are these like big tall spires that you can build bases on, and it's intended to kind of be like a point of contention for players on if you're on a PvP server, and if you're just looking to build. You can see you can make some really cool stuff on the spires, and you can kind of see it at the very bottom left there. But that's a big rope. I think that's an elevator.
Yeah.
So that connects between two different spots of the bases. So yeah, you can do a lot of really cool stuff with that. We are looking forward to seeing some amazing builds from y'all with these new locations. See where you guys end up building up. So okay, those are the three main spots. That about covers it as far as like the actual like biomes go. Bruno, is there anything you'd like to add as far as just like the process or like how things have been, especially with like COVID, for example? Like, how's your workflow been?
So most of the studio is working from home at this point because of that situation. I've actually been remote for longer than that, so personally it doesn't affect me too much, but it's been a challenge in some areas, but it's been better in some other areas. Communication seems to be easier sometimes when everyone's online.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's definitely a challenge sometimes also.
I bet it's been a challenge for I think a lot of us too. Like, we're lucky enough to be able to kind of sit here by ourselves in person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and
because we're vaccinated.
We are vaccinated, by the way. We're very lucky to have gotten our shots.
Last stream, we had both tested negative before the stream and we're good. But now we actually have our shot, so we feel pretty good about that. So, it's nice to have that, and I hope. Anyway, and then my understanding also, I don't know if you mentioned this, but so you were actually in the UK. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's right. Yeah. So you're saying that you've been kind of working remote for quite some time already. So the current situation isn't too much different from what you're actually already used to. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I take it you've been your physical health and mental health are well taken care of. Do you have everything you need?
Yes. Thank you very much.
He's got his reptiles behind him.
Yeah, he's got all his lizards behind there. Yeah. As is of course.
What more do you need?
As is of course streamer law. We gotta hype up people's pets.
Of course.
All right.
So that about covers it as far as what we wanted to talk about in terms of the biomes and the art. Again, did you want to? Is there anything you wanted to add in terms of like just anything else before we ship it on over to Dennis to talk about all the nitty gritty?
No, I just want to say thanks to you guys for inviting me on the stream.
Of course.
And I would like to thank everyone that was involved in 2.4. It was a monumental task, so from artists to community, producers, directors, leads. I think we all did our best, and I think we pulled through, even with all the situation and all that. So I hope our players like it and have fun exploring the new areas. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah,
All
thank you,
right.
Bruno. It looks awesome, and
It
chat
does,
can
yeah.
attest. Yeah, like everything looks really awesome. All the environments look super great. So great job to you, and great job to all the artists and everyone involved. Okay, great. Well, we'll let you go, Bruno. Thank you so much for joining us and
Thank
offering a little bit of
you.
insight into just like what goes into like, the
Yeah.
environment art, especially with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. We'll be switching it over to Dennis in just a bit. No,
Thank you. Bye.
Toodles.
thank you very much. Okay.
All right.
So moving forward, we have a lot of other things that we're going to be covering.
Yep.
We'll be covering additional like design notes about the new biomes. Let's see. We'll be showcasing the new armor and weapons that are available, or going to be available with the new lands. The new god, the new religion,
Yes.
Zath. Content warning, just so you guys know,
I was gonna
arachnophobia, spiders, big spiders.
Yeah.
If you don't like spiders, turn off the video. When we show it up, you'll see a
We
thing
didn't
called the
think there was
spider god.
enough. So
Hmm?
we didn't think there were enough spiders.
So we needed more spiders, apparently. So be forewarned. And then, yeah, when you see the video, the spider god, if you don't like spiders, turn off the video. And then we'll also be going into the pools of the gray ones, which Bruno touched upon, which is a kind of a new like in-game mechanic where you will be able to summon custom bosses for extra loot. So, hey, Dennis, you there?
Oi.
Hey!
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dennis. Welcome back to the stream, and thank you for taking time to
Yeah, thanks for having me.
grace us with your presence. Sorry, I'm hamming it up. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, hey, yeah, welcome back. How's things been?
Yeah, it's good. It's going great. Pretty much just all work and all taking care of babies. So,
Yes.
I look forward to the break that work is a lot of the time.
Well, yeah, because you got both human babies and fur babies.
Yep,
That's a lot to
indeed.
take care of. Yeah.
2 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 baby boys.
Aw.
Today is their first birthday, actually.
Oh, what a
Hey, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Chat, can we get a happy birthday to Dennis's children, please?
Also, my mom is literally in chat, so hi. Mom.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Mama Douthett.
I'm very proud of her for finding Twitch on her own. I didn't even influence her. She is a
All right.
self-subscribed Twitch user.
Dang.
Nice. Okay, so
Let's get into it.
yeah, let's jump into things. So 2.4, lots of things going on. Can you give us just like a quick overview of like the goals and like what just is all going into 2.4?
Yeah, definitely. So 2.4 is kind of interesting because it was a patch that we actually planned that was supposed to be the original 2.3 patch, actually. And whenever we got a lot of community feedback and mixed reviews about Siptah, we actually changed course and pushed everything that was supposed to be in 2.3 to the 2.4 patch. So 2.4 now contains some stuff that was like to address the complaints about 2.3 and the content that we were going to put in 2.3 to begin with. So, now we've got the new lands, which Bruno showed off with Andy and Nicole earlier, and we've got the Spider God, and those are the 2 major features. Along with those, we have, a bunch of different balance updates and stuff like that we'll just continue to keep doing, just trying to make the game a little better.
Awesome as possible.
Yep.
All right, so where do you want to start? Do we want to start with Isle of Dusk?
Let's do
all right,
that.
cool. So we'll switch back to this view. So first, we're going to actually show off a little bit of a closer look at some of the new enemies that you'll be facing. Actually, so the first ones you'll see in this video are actually going to be the gray ones, and then the first men. We can talk a little bit about both, and then we can jump back into like the kind of environment view of the Isle of Dusk. So.
Sure. So obviously this is on the Isle of Dawn. It's very bright, so that's the easy way to tell. But the new enemies are the gray ones. The gray ones are inspired by the Howard story, The Pool of the Black Ones. but we've given them their own twist to make them fit into Conan Exiles a little bit better. So no one knows how or when the Grey Ones got to the Isle of Siptah, but it's clear that they've been here for a long time. You can see they have these ancient, almost crumbling kind of stone structures. They're very tribal inspired. You'll see paintings, kind of like, caveman hand paintings smeared all over the place. Their weapons and clothes and everything are they're
very like tribal influence.
Very tribal.
Well. Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll show off the weapons in a little bit too.
This guy right here is one of the first men. So the one that was kind of like a hulking guy, that's a devolved first man, and this is a normal first man. They lived on Siptah when the Maelstrom started destroying the island, and the elder races retreated into their vaults. Instead of hiding in an elaborate vault, though, the first men just retreated to the south, which is where you'll find them in a devolved form now.
And then, both of these new enemy types will be like the factions will be just like adorning their respective isles, and especially with the Grey Ones, like you'll have that whole citadel dedicated to them, which we'll touch on a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and you had mentioned earlier as well, there are some Stygian raiders in the south. So we've got the Isle of Dawn and Dusk, and then there's a little space in between. That little space, excuse me, sorry, the little space in between is part of the Isle of Dawn. But those floodland areas have human occupants.
Right.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. So let's see. So on the Isle of Dusk, can we talk about like gameplay design decisions and like things to keep in mind in terms of like design and like what to expect when they're actually playing through the zone?
Yeah. In the Isle of Dusk, it's kind of like this winding volcanic chasm region. So it's actually kind of possible to feel a little bit lost on the ground in some places, and you can always climb up and get a little higher point of view. But really, you'll just find a lot of lore, new camps, some small activities to do. One of the big things in the Isle of Dusk is the Forge of the First Men, and this is something similar to the Elemental Forge in the volcano in Exiled Lands, where you can come to craft obsidian weapons. And there's also a new set of Grey One weapons you can learn to make as well, which have to have their materials crafted at the Forge of the First Men.
Nice. And actually, on that note, since you guys have already seen this, I guess I can swap over to actually showing off what some of the new weapons look like. And then included in this also is some of the new weapons that are part of or related to the new god, which we'll touch on in a little bit too. Here's some of the new weapons. So this is the Zath spear. So we have the Zath spear and a Zath dual wield dagger set.
Yep. With every new religion, they also get a set of weapons as well. So those are what we picked for Zath. These are the Grey One weapons. You can see they have a obsidian in them as the blades. We actually have created an obsidian weapon for every single weapon type. In our little slideshow here, though, the bow is missing because we actually the texture was a little bit messed up at the time, so we didn't get to take a picture of it. Yeah.
So be rest assured there will be a bow, but it won't be shown here because the wasn't quite working right at the time of.
It also looks really cool.
It does look really Take our word for it. It looks really cool.
I love all the Grey One weapons. I feel like they look so awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the. I love like the blue obsidian.
The dark blue.
I love the blue obsidian like weapon blades and like especially that mace head. It looks like a very like almost like an aqua. Like it looks like they captured a little bit of the ocean in that globe. Either way, I think the art team like really knocked it out of the park with the Grey One weapons. So those are things that you can look forward to in terms of weapons from 2.4. Next, what do we want to touch on next? Do we want to move on to Isle of Dawn, or do we have any additional insight into weapons or armor we want to talk about?
There's also Grey One armor. Did you say you were going to show armor?
We'll show all the armor, yeah. So I can do that next. So this will be showing off all the sets that are going to be available in 2.4, including the Grey One's armor. There is also the First Men armor. So I believe there's two sets that you can get from the First Men. So there's the primitive and then the primeval sets.
Yeah, the first men armors are meant to be kind of cobbled together. They're not like a very not a very pretty set. Oh, like obviously they look good, but they're not like a uniform set.
Yeah, it looks
And
very
this is
like improvised and like very kind of like you said, cobbled together.
and this is what you'll see on the first men themselves too. Whenever you see like the devolved first men, they're wearing like this style of helmet, and they've got some of these armor pieces on, and their armor's kind of made. They've got like big pieces of armor for a normal size human. That's like a small piece for them, like a shoulder pad or something like that.
Yeah, and then some of them have like a full like one-handed sword, but like in their hands it looks like a dinky little like gladius like a little dagger or something like that.
Yep.
And then we also in 2.4 are introducing the light and medium versions, I believe, of the dragon hide or dragon bone sets.
Dragon bone.
Yeah. So,
all 3 AC of dragon bone armor will be there: light, medium, and heavy.
Yeah. So this is medium. The one you just saw was light, and then of course heavy is already in the game, so won't be showing that off for this stream. Yeah, they all share like a distinct like appearance, but like different color theme, and then obviously different geometry. I think the next one we have is the gray one set. Yeah, there we go. So this is the set, of course, from the gray ones, inspired by the gray ones.
I like the tusks.
Yeah. So keeping with that like tribal motif, looking very ancient, looking very old. But with bits of that blue obsidian again, just scattered around.
Yeah.
And then finally, we also have one last armor set relating to the new religion, the Zath set.
Yeah.
Aw, yeah.
Some of you might have seen, if you've been keeping up with Test Live, we had an old Zath set, and we decided it wasn't quite spider gaudy enough. So we made one that's kind of, a lot more spider inspired. It's kind of just wearing a spider web with lace under it.
Yeah, and for those wondering, rest assured, the male outfit is even more revealing than this one.
Oh,
we don't have it. Yeah, we don't have it shown on this video right now, but yeah, the male version of the Zath armor set is a lot of skin being shown on that. Let me tell you. It basically looks like a bondage harness. It does. What?
I was going to mention this later, but someone pointed it out in chat. They said we have heavy armor, but we don't have dragons. We actually did add dragons in the Floodlands area. Right. So some of the monsters that are missing, like sand beasts and dragons, you can find in the new land.
Yeah, so I can definitely confirm after looking around. I don't know if it was shown. I don't think I caught it in the clip that is posted here, but yeah, there's definitely a dragon, like at least one dragon trundling around. And I think there's several more like kind of on the beaches as well. So don't worry about that. Yeah. Okay, great. So that's a look at the new armor.
Back to the Isle of Dawn.
Yes. Over.
So we talked about who the gray ones are. And we basically talked about how we don't really know who they are. Another thing that we borrowed from the Howard story is a spin on what in the story is the Black Pool, where they would take people and put them in the pool and turn them into statuettes. With the gray ones, we wanted to invert that. So basically, as you explore the Isle of Siptah, all over the Isle, you have a chance to find a statue, and that is a statue of a monster or some kind of creature that you've encountered from the maelstrom or on the Isle. And you can take that statuette to one of the pools. There are 3 gray pools. Place it on a pedestal, and then the pools will bring the monster to life, and you can fight them for, fantastic loot and a fun challenge.
Yeah, the really cool thing about this, of course, is that it's basically like a boss fight on demand. Provided that you have the statuette to actually summon them or the figurine.
Right.
But yeah, being able to kind of do like my term has always been like the pocket boss. I think that's like an OG like Funcom term, back like harkening back to the Anarchy Online, dude.
The glory days of Anarchy Online.
Yeah, the glory days. So you'll be able to summon bosses. For again, fantastic loot. I think, do they have their own separate loot tables, or do they share the same with like what their base like boss monster would be?
Their resources and everything are the same, but they also have they can drop fragments of power as a boss.
Okay, cool.
So this is another place another activity or place you can come to get fragments of power, take them back to the Void Forge and unlock new recipes.
Awesome.
Yeah, here's a video of one of the monsters being summoned.
Yeah, we have a few of these. So yeah,
we put a lot of care into the particle. The guy Jesse that worked on the
cool.
particle did an amazing
awesome.
job. And you can see it. There are 3 pools, and you can see all the water towers shoot up from far away. So you'll know if someone else is doing a black pool. If you're on a PvP server, maybe you want to go gank them and steal their fragments or tablets of power.
That's tricksy. I can't wait to see all the drama that will unfold on the forums from that.
You're welcome.
Yay! Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah.
In addition, so apart from just like the gray one, the gray ones in the first spin, we also have a bunch of other enemies too.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't have visual aids of those, but I think we have. We just have a few things that I think you wanted to touch on. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few new enemies you'll find in the Ashlands and just in the south primarily. There's a new corrupted panther, corrupted baboon. I mentioned before we added sand beasts and dragons to the Floodlands, and there's a man-ape as well. So there's a new handful of enemies to encounter.
Nice. And then let's see. So we have new enemies. Talked about the gray pools. Gray one. Arachnophobia warning.
Yeah.
Yes. Next up is the brand new religion we're introducing in 2.4. Of course, also be available to everyone, not just on Isle of Siptah. But let's see. Yes, it's time for spiders.
Shield thine eyes.
Yep. Avert thine gaze. So Zath, which is the spider god in Hyborian lore, a part of the Hyborian pantheon, is now a summonable avatar as of 2.4. You can see them in all their glory.
I love the entrance.
We kind of we're really pushing the whole spider angle apparently, and when you're summoning Zath, the particle effects, like when you're summoning them. Is just like a whole rain of spiders just like plopping down, and it makes this like really gross like squishy sound as it just, like, comes down. It's gross. It's super duper gross.
Yeah, we had a directive specifically to push spiders and make it as creepy as we can. And the first thing I thought was, hey, I hate when spiders fall on me, so why don't we make it literally rain spiders when you're summoning Zath?
Wow.
So we got that.
There's even Zath even drops spiders on people. One of their abilities is to drop spider eggs, which then hatch into spiders and attack things.
So Zath has Zath, unlike other avatars, actually has 2 abilities. If you ever see the brown smoke on his back or little eggs grown in, you can use the secondary or heavy attack button to make him shed the eggs off of his back. Those eggs, once they hit the ground, become a landmine. If you walk into the egg as a hostile player, if you get too close, it will explode, cover you in spiders and spider webs, and start damaging you over time. If the spider lasts, I believe it's a minute, it'll actually hatch into a spider that will spawn and just attack things that are not part of the clan that it came from. So it'll you can put a bunch of spider eggs down during the minute that you have control of Zath. They come back very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of meant to be a defensive mechanism for the person that summoned him. So you don't have to rely on someone watching your body. You can have some spiders that do it for you.
Yeah, and I think when I was taking videos, like the eggs eventually hatched and just like started attacking like monsters like in this pit area in Isle of Dusk. Yeah, they'll just attack anything. They'll just attack anything. Was not on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, they'll just attack anything. As you can see there, they'll just attack anything that's in vicinity. And then so the other attack Zath has, I believe, is like a direct, like a arcing spit attack. Yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't get footage of it, but that is the primary attack, right? And so kind of like more like a ranged siege ability. Yep.
So most gods are going to be attacking melee range. Zath can actually spit venom through the air, hit buildings with it. It'll poison the building pieces, damage them over time, and break them down. The visual effects for it are amazing. It's a shame we don't have a video.
Bummer. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
It's another spot where the poison hits the building. You can see it kind of coagulate on the building and start to break down, and then the building pieces break down. It's amazing. The projectile does lose some damage the further it travels. So he is meant to be like a trebuchet of an avatar, but he can't just sit the whole way across the map and nuke someone from very far away. He has to be relatively close still.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, he's artillery, but he's not like long range bombardment. Yeah. Like some range, but like he can't be clear across the map and hawk loogies at someone's base. Yeah. Although I think can the projectile technically travel? Like, is that actually tracked? Like, could you theoretically like launch a projectile from one side of the map to the other?
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah.
Like, would it just okay? So would you be able to see the impact? I'm just curious now.
I believe there's a lifespan on it, so it might disintegrate after a certain amount of time, but it will go very far. It will go very far.
Yeah, I kind of want to see like a tracker cam or like a chase cam for the spitball and just like watch it like fly through the air.
Yeah.
Like Rocket League. Like,
yeah.
Zap spits it, then the camera detaches and follows the spitball.
Sounds like a great mod idea. Yep. So that's Zath. And then, of course, because it's a whole new religion, in addition to a brand new altar, which is seen here, there's also specific religious items that aren't just the pair of daggers and the spear, yeah?
Yeah, so what was shown there was the tier 3 altar. They start out as a nest of Zath, and they build up, of course.
Okay.
And the final version has that large statue of Zath, which is it harkens back to the story itself, where in the story they're statuesque looking spiders that actually come to life. So Zath's followers get the Zathite ritual dagger as their religious tool. It's a really just like very nice looking gemmed religious dagger. Part of Zath's lore is that he is kind of a god of thieves, and as part of that, you want to have nice fancy stuff. So they've got a really nice looking jeweled dagger, also part of the story as well. The dagger can be used to extract venom purified blood from the bodies you find. That's the religious item, on par with like lingering essence. There's also 2 religious weapons for Zath, like we discussed, the daggers and the spear. And there's a statue you can place out to show your love and support for the spider god.
Hooray!
There's an interesting thing with Zath that we put in where you can harvest from a spider. Excuse me. Harvesting from a spider will actually give you a unique resource that is a sack from inside the spider that you can pull open to find like more unique loot or body parts or things like that. And those sacks can also be used as a crafting ingredient to extract gossamer. So the item that Zath's religion can create is gossamer. There's also the new armor set, which we showed earlier. And the last thing that's cool, which also comes from the story, is it's like a marble from another dimension, essentially. And when you throw it, it transforms from a spider or from a marble into a spider and will attack people. So we basically put spider grenades in the game, right? Like you can carry an orb around, throw the orb, and a spider will spawn to fight with you. And that can fight alongside a follower or a thrall if you have someone with you. You can have both of those at the same time.
Nice. Spider, go.
Yeah.
So, spiders everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who like that, great. For those of you who don't like spiders, we're sorry. I guess we're not that sorry collectively, but we're sorry. Great. Yeah, so that's all like the big beats about like the new content that's coming at 2.4. But in addition to that, we got a lot of nitty-gritty stuff coming up, including some systems changes, balance changes, including something you promised last stream, which is changes to mounted combat, which I think a lot of PvPers are very excited to hear about. Can you offer some insight into?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me start with the balance changes because that is the fun part. I did discuss this on the last stream, so we just followed through with what I mentioned. We reduced the damage of weapons on a mount, so they don't have like 2x multipliers anymore. I think they tend to start somewhere around like 1.2 or something like that. It's more akin to what an actual combo would be if you're just swinging your weapon at someone. And we also removed the status effects from those weapons. So you won't be crippling someone or bleeding someone from horseback and then having a follower pounce on them immediately and effectively one-shot them anymore.
Yeah, because the goal of that, I mean, the goal of these changes is basically like, you know, you still want to keep like mounted combat viable, but you don't want to make it like mandatory. Like you don't want to make it like the only viable option, right? You still want people to be able to fight on horses, and you don't want it to be like the only good option.
Exactly. Whenever there's a best choice, that's what people will view as the only valid choice. And attacking from the back of a mount was so much stronger than attacking on foot that for a lot of people, it was the only way to play the game. So like Andy said, we want to keep it an option, but we don't want people to feel like it's the only option.
Because more choices are good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some other stuff that we changed. I'm going to go into one that's kind of ranty, but there's a lot of history. Okay. There's a lot of history behind it. So if you've been following Test Live, you know there's been a bit of a journey with bow rebalance. And the problem was that we had so much armor penetration that people could deal extreme amounts of damage to people that were very heavily armored, had high agility and high vitality. We're talking like you could kill someone in 2 hits. So we wanted to make that not the case because it's just not fun to die that fast. There's no counterplay to it. It's too strong. So what we did initially was we nerfed all bows and said bows no longer have armor penetration. We'll make some exceptions for legendary bows. And that turned out to be like way too much of a change. It made the bows that were lower level feel very bad, terrible to play with. So what we did was we wound up reverting all the changes that we made to the bows and arrows and nerfed one outlier. The hollow bone arrow, it was an artifact of the past that we hadn't cleaned up. Much like, you know, we've recently changed ambrosia, which is something that's going to be controversial for a lot of people, but ambrosia was also an artifact of the past. It was part of a system that was uniform previously. Then when we updated it, we missed that one item. And because of that, it's kind of overpowered in the new system. So hollow bone arrows were only ever meant to work with the hollow bone bow, which would have given them sane damage values. But we lifted the restriction of certain arrows working with certain bows. So what we did was we took the hollow bone arrow and kept its armor pen the same. You can still get awesome armor pen with it, but we just reduced the base damage on that. And that's kind of the approach we'll take with all of these when it comes to rebalancing bows is everything feels good the way it is. And nobody was asking for us to change all the bows. And we realized that. So, you know, we undid the work that we did and we just fixed the problem, which was one arrow that could cause you to do way too much damage. So bows aside, we also made changes to dodge. So in 2.4, you'll see that dodge goes about 20% further than it did in 2.3. Mm-hmm. That will allow you to make a little more distance on enemies and hopefully get a little extra time to irk out like healing potions if you need to. We are still reviewing healing potions and we might still make some changes in the future, like speeding up the animation slightly. But for the most part, we're just trying to be conservative so we don't go too far in one direction. And everything will just be small changes over time until we get it to right where it should be. In addition to the dodge distance, we also changed the way dodge recovery times work and dodge speed works. Mm-hmm. Previously, your armor class, so how heavy your armor was, affected how
like your speed and recovery time,
how fast your dodge was specifically. So if you were wearing very heavy armor, you did a very slow dodge, and you lost a lot of immunity because you have the same window, but the roll was still in progress. So when you were coming out of it, you were vulnerable. And we changed this so instead of being based on your armor, we based it on your encumbrance. So having heavy armor by default makes you heavier. It makes you carry more, so you have less free encumbrance. And it's now possible to spec into encumbrance, wear heavy armor, and still have a fast dodge, because it just gives you more freedom to basically use the armor type you want to use, and it won't penalize you in combat as long as you put those points into encumbrance, or it won't penalize you as hard. We like the idea that your armor class is just another thing weighing you down, and the distance you could roll is just based on how good you are at carrying things instead of what kind of armor you're currently wearing. Another thing is that recovery speed is still modified by agility. So if you put points into agility, you'll still come out of the roll faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another thing that we've been chasing down a lot is cases of animation canceling. So this would be an example would be you have a two-handed spear out, you do a heavy attack, and before you can do before you are able to attack again, you just put the spear away, and then you pull it out again and do another attack before you would actually be able to do it naturally. So what we did, the problem there was that it leads to some unintended behavior and higher DPS than we normally intend. So we've been intentionally removing sources of animation canceling when we can pin them down to make the experience more consistent for players across the board, regardless of their experience or knowledge levels. Players that are more versed in the game, they will know how to do this. And whenever you come against a player that's more experienced than you, you're at a severe disadvantage because their skill ceiling is much higher because they know how to abuse the system. So you don't really stand any chance against that player. Mm-hmm. But adding this consistency and these fixes will give everyone a more balanced playing field and a more polished experience in the end. It'll actually let us balance the game better as well.
Right, because once we know that there's a level playing field, we can actually make balanced decisions influenced by that, rather than having to juggle this kind of feature being in and people who know how to use it.
Yeah, one of the good examples of this is that now that once we get rid of every case of animation canceling we know of, we can actually make two-handed weapons a lot stronger potentially, right? Two-handed weapons are pretty much what people use a lot of the time now because they do so much damage and you can cancel it into the attack again. But without that canceling, we have the ability to make the risk of using them higher and the damage of using them more rewarding.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this might be a little controversial, of course, but I think in the long run, it's gonna be really healthy for the game, especially since more level playing field, and then we can move forward with changes, knowing that there will be a consistent combat experience, or as consistent as we can, as we intended.
Yep.
And of course, if folks have other feedback or things they wanted to talk about regarding animation canceling, let us know. Blow up chat.
Yeah.
Talk about it on the forums. Tweet at us. We've heard a lot.
Oh, they will.
Oh, well, they have, and they will, and they continue, and they will always. So yeah. And then, in addition to that, we have a couple other things that are coming as well, systems-wise. I think we have a new vertical climbing animation.
Our animator made a new climbing animation, and I've actually seen a lot of people say that they think climbing is slower now. It's actually just an effect of the animation looking different. The climbing speed is still the same.
Good to clarify that, because perception is a very important thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the actual animations, the character's actually animating a little bit slower, but in terms of units per second or whatever, it's exactly the same, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. And then finally, we have a couple swimming changes.
Yeah, this is actually one of the things I'm most excited to see how it plays out. So the current version of swimming that everyone is familiar with is that when you go in the water and you swim, you start to lose stamina. We took that away. So the goal here was to make the experience in water basically the same as it is on land. Whenever you walk in the exiled lands without sprinting, you don't lose stamina, you regenerate it. So that's what happens in the water now. We also added the ability to swim faster for a short period of time by holding the sprint key. It's as if you're just, you're exerting more, just like when you're sprinting, you're trying harder to swim faster. So as long as you have energy to do it, you can swim a little faster. And then the really important thing that we added is the ability to use one-handed weapons while you're swimming. So players that run away from others into the water, trying to recover and kind of reset, you're not safe anymore.
Nice.
But yeah, like you said, I'm curious to hear about feedback.
Yeah, I think overall it's been like received. Seems like it's being received pretty like positively. Like doesn't seem like anything crazy. I think offering more options to engage in combat and more like more ways to fight each other and make it, I don't know, smooth out the experience even more. I think overall better for the health of the game, especially when you're not safe anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just when you thought it was safe to go in.
Yeah, it looks like some people. Yeah, looks like chat's pretty happy with. More options are good. Props for water combat plus. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a lot going into 2.4 because 2.4 is a big patch. Now there is actually one more thing we did want to talk about. It is, however, not going to be available at the launch of 2.4. But it is something that we are working on for a future release right now. It was on testing on Test Live, but it's just not quite ready for prime time live. It's character transfers. So that's a work in progress feature that we are still working on rolling out. Again, to reiterate, it will not be available in the 2.4 update initially.
Right.
We're making a bunch of changes based on your feedback. And then taking as much time as we need to make sure that it is not bug-free. It's a really important feature, and of course, involves your character and your character's data. So we got to make sure that it's like really working right before it's ready to like actually go live.
Yeah, in addition to making sure it's bug-free as well, we're also reacting a lot to community feedback on the feature as well. So our initial version was meant to be a basis that we can build upon. So that's what we're doing. A lot of people have asked for the ability to not have your buildings destroyed when you leave a server. So that's the feature we're trying to get in the pipeline, basically. Just whenever you guys have feedback or ideas that you think would make a system better, let us know. And if enough people seem to feel that way, or we are particularly attached to a specific idea, we'll look into it. But yeah, character transfers, like Andy said, they're not going to be in 2.4.0, but they might come a couple weeks later. And the first version that we have will be one where you can log into a server, upload your character, and then go to another server where you don't have a character. And in character creation, you'll have the ability to import your character. So everything that was on your character on the other server will come to the new one. But that's just what's on your character. It's what's on your inventory, what you're wearing, all of that. Any
so just your physical
or anything.
Character,
Yeah. Currently, if you leave a server and you're the last member of your guild to leave, everything that your guild owns will be decayed at that point.
Yeah.
So if you still have guild members, you can leave things behind.
Yeah.
And come back.
But that does seem to be like something a lot of people have brought up with the initial like proposal. So I think we're looking into that, looking into our options.
Yep.
Just like based on what you guys are sending us. And of course, like this is a potentially very powerful system. There's with great power comes some restrictions and ways, ideally, not to cause problems with the system. And of course, because we have a bunch of different server types, I think there's like at least right now, there's a plan like kind of like a hierarchy or like a chain that you can go based on like the server type that you're migrating from.
Yeah. So in order to not let people just kind of like create a private server, gear the crap out of the character, and transfer it to an official PvP server or something like that, we do have a lot of restrictions. First of all, the easy one to talk about is if you have a character in the official server pool and you leave the official server pool to a private server, you cannot come back to official servers. If you make a character initially outside of the official server pool, you cannot transfer into the official servers. Now, your server type also depends where you can transfer. If you play on a PvP server, you can transfer to any other server type, any other rule set. If you play on a conflict server, you can transfer to another conflict server or a PvE server. And if you play on a PvE server, you can only transfer to a PvE server. For private servers, server transfers are disabled by default. So you have to actually turn them on to allow people to even bring a character to your server.
It sounds a little like, I mean, obviously when we're saying it, it can sound a little complicated, but it'll be all written down. And,
yeah.
you'll be
Like
able
we'll
to see
have
it.
once it's ready to like actually go
Yeah.
out and everything is working the way we want it to. Of course, like we'll have some like a blog about how it all works. Ideally, like a visual way of like the kind of like chain, as it were. Like really, it's just like PvP's at the top and go anywhere. Conflict can go laterally or down to PvE, and then PvE can only stay on PvE. And yeah, like there's a mandatory opt-in for a private server admin, so it's not like
Right.
someone can just like take their character, just like put it on your server without your permission. So it's like so you have to actually allow that. One question that I actually got, and I don't know if this is nailed down or not, but is there a cooldown planned?
Yeah. So that's basically our great equalizer whenever it comes to keeping everything fair. So if I believe, and I'm going to just throw out numbers here that I think are correct, but we'll, like Andy said, whenever we actually post the documentation, we'll know what there is.
Yeah, so the caveat is that whatever Dennis is about to say is like subject to change. It's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Not final, but this is currently what we're thinking about working with.
I think by default, if you're on a PvE server, there will be a 1-day cooldown to transfer to another server. And I think that the PvP transfer cooldown might be a week, or we might be planning to set it to that if there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, a lot of people have raised the concern, what if there's an alpha clan that transfers to another server, wipes it out, transfers to another server, wipes it out?
Right.
And what we would like to do to prevent that is to say you can only transfer so frequently.
And then, of course, like this is, I believe, like, it sounds like something that we can adapt to if needed. So we can always like adjust the cooldown period or the grace period as needed, as long as people behave.
Right.
Which I know they won't, so it's fine because we know you guys.
There was a question. I'm curious about this too. They're saying like, are you Savage Wild server?
Oh, the mod map. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about our system is that you can transfer anywhere. Outside of, within the restrictions that I said before, if you're playing in a private server pool, you can transfer from one server to another, and a different server can have a different map. So if you're playing on Siptah and you've been playing there for a month, and you decide, I'd like to go to Savage Wilds, and you're on an official server, you can transfer to a Savage Wilds server. And if you're on a private server, you can transfer to a Savage Wilds server. If you're playing on Exiled Lands in an official server, you can go anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, it's just like character data on a database. So it's like, it's just
the main intent here, at least right now, is to be able to take your character to different maps. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Because now that we've introduced new maps, people want to take their character to the new map, and they don't want to have to start all over again. And that's exactly what the point of this is.
Great.
Yes, you can transfer from Siptah to Exiled Lands.
And then Silent Hammer asks in the chat also, I think, so they ask, will character learned recipes transfer over? I think everything that's present on the character, be it gear, feats, skills, whatever, like actually physically present on the character, including, I assume, feats, attributes, learned recipes, whatever, will transfer over.
Yep,
as long as it's on physically on the character or part of the character, that will move over.
Part of what we would like to do is to have things that are exclusive to maps. With Siptah, we wanted to do that. Excuse me. And there's a lot of stuff in Exiled Lands that wasn't in Siptah. So part of the idea would have been that you have to play on Siptah map play on Exiled Lands, unlock unique things like from the library, for instance, and then you could take them to Siptah to use them there. Cool. So that's kind of part of the idea, is that we have different experiences, different adventures for you to have on different maps. And then you can take what you've learned from the other maps to new maps.
Awesome.
So big feature again.
Yeah.
To reiterate once again, not going to be available with the initial launch of 2.4.
Right.
But we're going to work as hard as we can to make sure the feature is out and polished as soon as possible in a future update.
Yeah, we just want to get it right.
Yep. We got to nail it.
I have some questions also that I snagged from chat.
Oh,
Sure,
good.
yeah, go ahead.
Pum521 asked about the thrall cap. We're currently working on the thrall cap. We're trying to find the right number to give people, and we also want to give a heads up so you don't just lose thralls, and we want to give people a way to actually be able to recapture some thralls. So if you have one that you definitely don't want to lose, you save it and then get rid of the extra ones. So we are working on systems for that, but it's going to be a little while before we're done. I've got some really great names in here too. Lil Miss Hentai asked, will the server transfer support mod data? Will it be possible to limit where server transfer comes from, and will it be a simple on-off switch? Server transfers currently will not support mod data. So if there's any unofficial data on your character when you import it, it won't go into the cloud. Whenever you bring it to another server, it won't be there. That's a thing that, we can look at and work on. As I said, we're looking for ways to improve the system. That's a fantastic way to make it better. And will it be possible to limit where transfer comes from? At the moment, it's not possible. The only way to limit it is to put a password on your server and only give the password to people that you actually want to come on your server. And as far as turning it on and off, I believe it is a INI setting. I don't think you can do it just in the server settings. I think the server has to be restarted. I also saw a lot of people asking if we were going to wipe servers. Sticking to our guns on that one. Yeah. We're not wiping Siptah servers.
And I think the last time long time ago.
Yeah.
And even then, we made sure everybody was aware that it was happening, and given a lot of time before that.
Yeah, and there might be some cases, for example, and as Siptah continues to evolve, when we added a bunch of camps, some people's bases might have gotten partially nuked and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's just a side effect of us having to add a bunch of stuff to the island. We have no plans of doing a full wipe or anything like that.
Right.
We had to do that system specifically because we said we won't wipe servers, because we are committed to not taking away things that people have played and earned as much as possible. That system, when we added camps to nuke buildings that were in the area of new content, that was the minimum amount of damage we could do to people that had worked for things, to try to not take it away from them.
Yeah, obviously it still sucks when you lose your stuff, but we're trying to mitigate that as much as we can when we make these big changes. So yeah.
Troy Kostasik asked, will we be adding more land to Siptah in the future? We don't currently have any plans to add more to Siptah, but as always, nothing is impossible.
I'm giggling at what someone said in chat about. We're not here to yuck your yum.
Getting Gash Gaming 1 has asked, why not add Siptah to the exiled lands? And in order to get Siptah, you need a boat feat sail there. So basically, this is the idea that you would go to some kind of interactable and transfer to another map instead of having to go through the character import process. So that is a very large technical hurdle.
Words are hard sometimes.
It's a large technical hurdle, and that's essentially my answer there. We are still considering this as an option. There are no plans to do it now, but it's not impossible. We might make it part of the game at some point. The difficult part is that, as you guys know, right now, sometimes with the population on a server will struggle to run depending on what's going on the server, what you're doing, etc. It'll slow down at least, right? So if we add another map to that server, it adds twice as much load to that server because it has to run that map additionally. What we can do is link servers and say, you've rented one server and you've rented another server, and you put different maps on those, and then you can transfer between them. The difficult part there is then if it costs you $15 to rent a server now, and you want to play two maps, you're now paying $30. You're literally paying twice as much to rent your servers. So there are technical hurdles. There are not usability, but accessibility hurdles, I guess, when it comes to that. And it's all things we'll be talking about internally in the time to come as we continue to work on character transfers. But for the time being, character servers should be character transfers is going to be our main focus in terms of being able to play on more than one map.
That makes sense. Yeah, not everyone. Not everyone has $15 a month to burn, let alone 30. So it's like
it also doubles our official server cost, right?
Right. Yeah.
If we had one map that has another one, now we're also paying more. Not just you guys; it's everybody that runs the server.
Yeah, and then additional if we have to make any additional hardware changes to accommodate the additional potential load of having a whole new map on there. And yeah, it's just there's a lot of layers to everything, and unfortunately, nothing is ever as simple. Nothing's ever as simple as what it might seem by a request. Sounds like we want to do it. It's just
it would be nice. It's what you expect as someone playing the game, right? You would like to go to a boat and go to White Sands Isle, right?
Yeah.
Cybercat asked when are we upgrading to UE 4.26? Conan Exiles will almost definitely never upgrade to 426 because we have a hefty amount of edited engine code, which kind of locks us into 415. For anyone that's interested in Unreal, Conan Exiles will be in 415. Other projects we're working on internally are on the modern version, and we, of course, have the potential to someday upgrade to Unreal 5, potentially as well.
Again, no promises.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. It is possible, not currently though.
And yeah, upgrading to new versions of the engine are it's not just you don't just well, maybe there is literally a button. I don't know. I don't think there is actually literally a button, and I think it's actually a much greater undertaking than people might think. Sometimes I see as a community manager, I look online, and I sometimes see in other games communities too, oh, why don't you just switch engines? It's my dudes. It's not that simple.
Just press the button.
Yeah, we've had other projects, other Unreal projects I've worked at in Funcom in the past. We have done engine upgrades, and that's usually a multiple day process where we have to go in, look at all the changes we made, port all of the changes to the new engine, and make sure that nothing got messed up. And it's complicated.
And that's for some of the smaller stuff too. With a project as kind of sprawling as Exiles is these days, I feel that would kind of just be, especially with the custom engine code. Certainly not impossible, but perhaps unlikely, at least in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Another thing I've seen people asking about a lot in chat is the PlayStation PvE conflict servers. We are working on that right now. I don't have an ETA for when it will actually be fixed. There's another issue with PlayStation as well, where players can't play co-op, where the second player that joins possesses the first player's character. We are actively working on those. So we know they're both happening. We definitely don't want them to stick around. We want to squash those bugs, and we're going to do it as fast as we can, but it will take some time to investigate, fix, and get a patch out through Sony.
All right, so someone's asking about our social. We were COVID tested before, and we had our vaccine shots. So
per the CDC, I'm pretty sure we're actually per the lines of the rules or whatever, we're fine. We're both fine. I think if we're
fine.
I mean, as far as what we've been provided in terms of guidance from departments that jobs it is handle this kind of stuff. I think we're doing fine. Yeah.
All right. That's about all the time we have, right?
I think that covers pretty much everything. Yeah. I mean, of course, if you have any other questions or anything like that, obviously tweet at us or go to the official forums or post them on Reddit, and we'll try to collect them, especially for character transfers. I know I've gotten several quite a few messages directly over Discord and stuff like that too. If you have any questions about character transfers or whatever, or suggestions that you'd like to see or concerns about transfers or whatever, send them our way. We'll make sure that they're seen and heard. I can't act on every suggestion, obviously, but they'll at least be looked at and considered.
We'll have a nice big document too. I'm sure all the
FAQ. Yeah. There'll be a huge FAQ for transfers because again, that's gonna be a pretty big deal. A lot of moving parts with that and a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Everyone in chat spamming about the decay timers. I see you. Don't worry.
We do read chat.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Shout out to our the community team in the chat for helping out there. You guys are awesome.
Oh, whoa. Hold on.
What?
I know we're ending the stream right now, but I forgot to talk about one of my favorite quality of life changes.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Whenever you die, if you walk up to your corpse and hit loot all, it puts everything back where it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things that one of my personal that's one of the things that I've always wanted.
Loot yourself
you have to put everything
piece
back,
by piece. Yeah.
All right, you now have my permission to end stream.
All right, well, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it. We're going to be closing out in just a few seconds. But thanks again to the community team for hanging out in chat.
Yep.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Your day with us.
Yeah, thanks for spending your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be with us to listen to us talking heads blabber on about a game we like to do stuff for. Thanks for your questions in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. And we will see you.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more updates.
Indeed. And I think 2.4 should be out on PC very soon.
Yeah. Very soon.
Extremely soon.
Very soon. Very soon. Cool.
Okay. So.
Alrighty.
And then we'll have the VOD on YouTube
Yep.
As soon as possible. And then we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.